Good morning, Kathy here from kathyskutekreations. Today, this video is going to be about squaring up your fabric. I'm going to go ahead and have a couple different fabrics here so you have an idea depending on the size of your fabric, but the squaring up is always the same. Okay, let's get over here to the table and we'll get started. For my first example, I'm going to use this little piece of fabric right here. You take the ruler you're going to use. I'm going to use this one right here. The very first thing you do is you lay your fabric down. Normally, I will lay it down on a line if I can to get it as straight in one direction as I possibly can. Then you take your ruler and you're looking at your lines because you want to take, for example, on the 4 here, we want to go all the way across that line and we want to put it on the edge of this fabric. Doesn't make any difference if this fabric on the bottom is crooked. You're just trying to line it up the best you can because you're taking off the right hand side. Once you take off the right hand side piece, then take your fabric, turn it one time. Now you know this line is straight because you just cut on this line. So this is the one you're going to be going with. So you put it on the line. And I need a longer ruler. And now we're doing the same thing. We're going to get our line on this ruler and we're going to put it on the bottom of our fabric down here, which is squaring it up. And I'll show you when I square this one up what this right hand side piece of fabric looks like. Okay. Let's see if I can get a shot of that. Hold on one second. This looks pretty straight, but when you look at this one, it's wider here and then it gets narrower as you go up until you get to the top of it. Let's move it a little bit here. So it was wider down here at the bottom. Now that fabric is squared on this corner and that corner. So now when it comes time for you to cut something out, your fabric is squared. Let me get a fat quarter and show you now. Alright, I pulled my fat quarter out and I realized that I forgot to tell you that the very first thing you do before you start cutting and laying it out is iron your fabric. The reason is if you don't iron your fabric and it has wrinkles in it, then when you go to cut out the piece you need for your project, it's not going to be correct. So if you need to put a little starch on it, that's fine, but you want to iron it to get the wrinkles out. Also, when you iron your fabric, it tends to relax the fibers in it and it really kind of makes it a little bit bigger than when you laid it out. And you can do an example for yourself. Take out 2 fat quarters the same exact size, lay one down on your table, take the other one, iron it, move the one you put on your table, put the ironed one down and put the other one on top of it, and you'll note that the one you ironed is a little bit bigger. Okay, so now here's my fat quarter that I brought out. You do the same exact thing, and you want to make sure that your ruler is longer than your fabric, because at this point, being new, it is very hard to put 2 rulers one on top of the other to cut something out. Even if you need to use a yardstick, there's nothing wrong with using a yardstick. You use whichever tools you have. Normally I will not cut the selvage off, the reason being that it'll give you an idea of how your fabric is laid out. I know that's hard to understand, but you'll understand it after you get a little bit further into your sewing. Also, the selvage will have information on it. Now, not this piece of fabric, but some of them have, and you'll know at the store when you pick them up, they have little different colored dots. That's so that you can match your fabric. If you had a project that you were working on and all of a sudden you thought, geez, I wish I could add another color to this because it would really make it different, you just take a piece of your selvage to the store with you instead of taking your whole project and all your fabric and trying to match it. And those little dots, you're matching them to the fabric, and then you can come home with a piece of fabric. And that little piece of selvage you can put in your purse, your pocket, whatever. Alright, so I'm doing the same thing. I'm lining up the bottom the best I can, and you can either line up the long or the short. Doesn't make any difference. I'll do the short this time. But you line it up the best. And then you get your long ruler. And in my case, normally what I do, since I have this large mat, And no, I have not owned this mat for a long time. I just recently got it. You're going to put your numbers at the bottom of the fabric, just like before. You're lining it up. And I went ahead and moved it up to, in my case, I went ahead and moved it up to a line. So that's pretty good. I use this weight here so that my ruler does not slip on me. And now you'll see the difference between this fabric and the last fabric when I show it to you here in a second. And then take it and turn it. Whoops. Actually, this one's going to go upside down because this is the part that's squared off, is the bottom now. And you don't want it away from you because you won't be able to see it from a distance. And then line this up on the line. If you don't have a line, that's fine, because what you're doing is you're paying attention to your ruler and you're just finding the line on your ruler to go along the line of your fabric. And you always want to use the same ruler when you're lining up your fabric for your project. In other words, I wouldn't switch out with a different ruler, I'd just use the same thing. Alright, so on this fabric, I'm going to show you these two here. Now this is the second one I cut, but it was the first one on the last one, and I'm going to show you how this is. Usually this end is pretty good because this is the end they cut last. See the difference between starting here, and as you go up, it becomes narrower, narrower. Goodness gracious, I can't say the word. Narrower. So now that piece of fabric is squared up. Pull it out here. This is a really cute fabric. I really like that fabric. Okay, so if you remember, this is that 3 yards of fabric that I got on sale. I take the fabric, I went ahead and I ironed this end down here. I'll show you here. I folded it in half so I have the selvages together. I smooth it out. Alright. Here it is laid out. You can see it. And if you note, the ends don't match. They're off. And that's why you're going to square it up, because you want the ends to match. At this point in your project, what you would be doing is you're going to square up your corner here. And like I said, lay it on the line, or just lay the two pieces together. Take your ruler, you're going to lay it on your fabric, and you're lining up by the number, by the lines here. And you're taking off, and in this example, the fabric that is the shortest is on the bottom down here. So the bottom and the top. It's this bottom area, and it's this top piece right here. So that's what you're judging it by. If your fabric was the other way, like let's say this was upside down and flipped, you can tell where your fabric is overlapping each other. All you got to do is look. If I was to flip this over and cut it, I already know that this 1/8 inch has to come off. So I would come over, since I couldn't see it, a 1/2 inch, and then line up the bottom of my fabric. So you could do this upside down where you can't see it. That has nothing to do with it. And I go as close, by looking at it, I go as close to the edge that I can before I cut it, because I want to use as much fabric as I have. I don't want to be wasting it by cutting it all off. And then just go ahead and I move along my ruler to keep it from moving. And here's the strip. And you can see there's a little bit, and it got wider. So that whole side now is square. And since this lined up because it's on the selvage, you don't need to cut it. Now all you would do is cut your strips depending on what you're trying to cut out. So I hope that these tips are helping you out so that you can square your fabric before you use it. Now don't forget to iron it, okay? That's the tip for today. See you next time. Bye-bye.